Hey everybody, KC here. You made it. This is our final, part 7 of our ongoing conversation about leadership and management based on our panel discussion that I conducted at the recent WAFC meeting in Denver. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed preparing for it and doing it on stage. I think these panelists were absolutely terrific. Again, their names: Kevin Curry of Albertsons, Wendy Coldacina of Costco, Levi Wingo of Raley's, Nick Schott of Red Bull, Toby Saricki of Albertsons, Jake Sochi of PepsiCo, Adria Campbell of Malk Organics, and Paul Stoffel of Stater Brothers. And you may remember I did a piece recently on Morning Newsbeat in which I talked about Reed Hastings of, used to be the CEO of Netflix, now he's this chairman. And one of the things he said is when he had an operational role in the company, one of the things he liked to do was ask his senior executives on a regular basis, if you had my job, what would you do differently? So he learned a lot from their perspectives and often integrated what they said into what he was doing as a leader. So I basically posed that question to everybody on my panel who, once again, various levels of their companies. But if you had the top job in your company, what would you do differently? I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I especially hope you enjoy this final piece of the puzzle. Enjoy, everybody. We only have a few minutes left, unbelievably, and because I have so many questions, but I don't want to wear out your patience or yours. So I want to ask one final question, and this is, there was a story on CNBC recently. It was about Reed Hastings, and he was, the chairman of Netflix, formerly the CEO. And one of the things that he talked about was that he, every year, he said, he would regularly ask his top executives, and I quote, to write down what would be different if they were in charge of the company. And the idea was, is he, and what would be different than, that they would do differently than he's doing. And he would look at that and he would mine ideas from that for things he had not thought of. So, recognizing that this is maybe a little uncomfortable, I'm going to ask you all the same question, and I'm going to start with Kevin, who's got the most tenure. If each of you were at the top job of your company, what would be different? And I don't mean this in a destructive sense. Just what do you see that you would make different if you were in charge?
What I've learned over the past 4 years in the role that I have now is that if I had the job, to always remember who the end user in the store is of technology and of processes and things you're developing. And that it's not the person that came into the office and sold you the productivity tool who's been working on it and knows all its ins and outs, but it's usually a high school graduate, maybe, might have English as a second language, and you're just going to expect them to become more productive, be better in their jobs because you've given this incredible tool that says they're going to be better at their job. And you've got to take into account, that's not what the 287,000 got into the business to be that smart. They're not an MBA with an engineering degree that develops something. And so I would just always think about who the end user is of this technology and or process that you're looking at changing, and will they be able to adapt to that and then be able to be successful in what they've been doing while they're taking care of number of customers and things going on.
Adria.
This was incredibly difficult for me. And I think what I came to was I want to find a better balance of speed and patience. So how do we prioritize the 15 things that we all agree are incredibly important for us to be able to deliver the result that we've all committed to for the year or the multi-year term? But then how do we break that down more into very clear, specific actions and processes that are going to help support the employees of the organization actually get their, do their job and do it well. And so I think we all have these really big ideas that are fun a lot of the times, and that gets shared out. But how do we take those, break those down, and become less of a talk about it organization and more of a do about it organization? and which processes specifically can we lean into, and how do we resource the business appropriately without going over the top with some of the spend, because that's how you get into trouble. But manage that in a way that at the end of the day gets us where we need to go, EBITDA positive, cash flow, and deliver our commitment. So speed, patience. How do we do it?
Nice.
Nick.
I can double up. It'd be super annoying if I did, but for us, this was tough. I agree. If I had Chris sitting here, I'd probably sit through and think through what we're trying to accomplish and our role as a supplier in the industry. And I think our role is really to beat the consumer to where they're trying to go. And I know this is tough to talk about because I obviously have competitive colleagues that are on the table here with me. But nonetheless, that is our role, right? And we owe it to the industry and we owe it to our retail partners to essentially provide the best products to be able to beat the consumer in the market. And the way to do that is to have the toughest and the brightest. I'm a firm believer that during tough times, tough people are made, and weakness showcases itself and manifests in many ways, and arguably then you can see who's tough and who's not. But I find that the smartest people obviously develop and draft off and build smarter colleagues. And I think the best place to find them is off university campuses and through programs such as this and in the industry. This is a tough industry. I mean, we can't even sugarcoat that, right? There is no two ways about it. My son literally 2 weeks into it said, thanks, see you, bye. And he wouldn't hack it. But nonetheless, this is a very tough industry. So that's check one. Check two is the smartest, wittiest people are arguably sitting in these rooms, whether it be retailer or supplier, because they deal with everything from root cause analysis of how everything is linked together. And I would ask Chris to double down on our grad program, and I believe that the next 5 years are critical because I don't understand AI, but I understand that if I could hear Mike Steiger's voice on Team Cyber Group, that is a legitimate voiceover that I literally thought was him. Maybe it still was, I don't know. He'll keep me honest. But when I hear things like that, I think, crap, I have no idea of what I'm doing. And in the next 5 years, the best and the brightest are going to come from the universities and be able to help me navigate that time to do the best for not only our org, but the orgs that we partner with.
By the way, I'm totally with you. I think Mike Steiger's voice scared the crap out of everybody.
I think for me, along similar lines, education. One thing that Home Depot did do really well, there was an internal education university called HD University, where you could take courses not only that had to do with like your role, you could take PMP courses. I mean, someone at the store level could take a PMP course, get their PMP certification from there. And I think it's the way I felt being in this program and how honored I felt that my company would invest in me in that way. I wish every single person could have that opportunity. And I think there's a way to do that within our own companies, creating spaces like that where you are able to get educated on whatever it is your heart desires, right? Even if it's not within the space you're technically in now, I think that would be an amazing opportunity to grow and train and invest in our people and show that you care about their future and what they care about also.
Paul.
So I get in enough trouble on my own, and you're not helping me here. So I already looked when you asked the question, and my team was like, yes. And my bosses were like, so I did think about it.
The point is your boss is supposed to learn from you on this one.
I have thought about this, and I've been lucky to work for two really good CEOs in the last 30 years. So we haven't had a lot of CEOs in Jack Brown and Pete Van Helden, but observing what's been successful and what hasn't, to be honest, I would eliminate the CEO position. And I'd create a CVO position.
I'm sorry, start again. You would eliminate the CEO position and
create a CVO position, Chief Vision Officer. I think the CEO's job is to create the vision and allow his team, a lot what you guys were saying, allow the team, I'm not saying Pete's not doing this, allow the team to come up with the plan to accomplish that vision or to hit that goal, right? And provide them the resources and the support to do that.
So you're saying formalize something that in a lot of companies is happening anyway, but formalize it so that the notion of being the chief visionary is the portfolio.
Yep.
Okay. Levi.
So my boss is also here, so I've got to be careful to make sure I walk out of here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. What I would say, though, is the biggest thing that's probably on our radar, and it's similar vein that what everyone talked about, is just the talent deficit that we're all being faced with as some of our most experienced people are retiring right now. And I think that our company has done a very good job of supplementing our needs. We haven't had to hire an outside store manager since I've been in this role, but that's the only area I can say that about. And while it's great to bring external talent in, it can totally supplement your team. It's a much safer and less risky bet to develop your own talent. So what I would recommend that we do is double down on our education. We do a great job with our MCP. We've got these other leadership development programs, but we need to continue to develop our own talent to be able to take on extra, additional responsibilities and additional departments and other kinds of roles. And the only way to supplement their experience is to get them even more education and outsider perspective to be able to bring that back to our company so we can be successful and do it ourselves in the future without having to count on an external talent pool that may or may not exist in a world as generations shrink.
Jake?
Yeah, similar to what Toby was pointing out, PepsiCo has a lot of like internal resources, whether you're curious about another segment of the business or, there's a lot of internal resources that are available. But I think actually, going through the modules and things like that, that's the starting point, right? I think encouraging more cross-functional experience and really having that ability to dive into other facets of the industry that you're already a part of, whether it's a trial scenario or special projects or additional certifications that you can obtain, just because I think a lot of people don't realize what excites them, because I think without, not to say they don't know what excites them, but I don't know if they, I'm trying to think of the right way to word this, but I think it's, you don't know what you're into until maybe you've been exposed to it, right? Or what interests you until you've been exposed to it. And I think it's, in terms of creating that exciting and fun environment to attract the younger talent, the talent that may be from a completely different industry, right? If they feel like they have essentially a blank canvas to kind of build their own roadmap, and the organizations will provide the certificates, the cross-functional exposure, and those potential deep dives, I think that's how you create that very collaborative environment and, different thought process.
Wendy, bring us home.
Oh, well, I don't know how I would put this together, but what gives me the most concern looking for the future of our business, because we are also kind of changing of the guard now, is culture. I don't know if I'd make a culture committee. I don't know what they would do, but I really would want to make sure that what drove me 34 years ago to want to stay and what's been our secret sauce, we believe, in our industry, that we continue to cultivate that. And we're growing globally, and we have 876 warehouses in 14 different countries. How do we keep all that to our core business model and what the feeling that you get of being with a family? So I would somehow put a bigger emphasis, and again, I don't know what that would look like, but on keeping our culture intact.
So how do you make sure the people who are hired in the warehouse that's going to open next week, wherever it happens to be, feels the same cultural connection that you felt when you started 34 years ago?
Yeah, that same sense of family, that they could go to any warehouse and that our CEO can walk through the door and would stop and take time to talk to them, and that they have a place and that they're appreciated, and that we want to see them move forward with our company.
I have to imagine that whether you're one store and you're growing to 2, or you're 1,000 stores growing to 2,000, that's got to be a central concern, right? How do you drive that home? Listen, you have been incredibly patient. You guys are fabulous. Give them a round of applause. You were wonderful. And thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. We'll see you out there.